The automatic doors sighed open at 2:17 a.m., breathing in cold air and something else. Something sour, like wet pennies. I was alone behind the counter, the kind of alone you only feel on a graveyard shift. The store hummed with fluorescent lights and the soft, never-ending churn of the Slurpee machine. Outside, the street lamp buzzed like a trapped insect. That's when he walked in. He wasn't dressed strangely, just wrong. Hoodie up, hands loose at his sides, sneakers that didn't squeak on the tile. He moved too quietly for someone stepping on a floor that sticky. He didn't grab a basket. He didn't glance at the hot food, the chips, the energy drinks. He just stopped 3 steps inside and stared directly at me. Not a zoned-out stare. Not a high-as-hell stare. A stare like he was reading a label. I cleared my throat. "Hey, welcome in." He didn't blink. Not once. After a few seconds, he drifted to the aisles. Slow. Unhurried. Like he had nowhere else to be for the rest of his life. I watched him in the convex mirror above the coolers. He walked to the candy rack, stared at the Reese's, moved to the gum, stared, then to the ATM, stared. He didn't touch anything, didn't pick up a single item. 10 minutes became 30. He kept circling. Every time I looked down at my phone, every time I scanned the empty parking lot, every time I forced myself to breathe like a normal person, I'd look up again, and he'd be closer. Not rushing, not obvious, but closer, like the store itself was shrinking around us. At 3:04 a.m., he stopped at the end of aisle 3. I could see him between the shelves, his face half lit by the cold blue glow of the dairy cooler. His mouth hung slightly open, like he was listening to a sound I couldn't hear. I pressed the panic button under the register. It didn't call the cops. It just sent a silent alert to our security company. Company policy: don't escalate, don't provoke. I hated that policy. The man turned his head, slow as a glitchy video. His hood shadowed his eyes, but I felt his focus land on me, sharp as a needle. He walked up to the counter. Up close, I realized what was wrong. His skin looked tired, like it had been worn too many times, like a shirt washed thin. There were creases around his lips that didn't match the shape of his mouth. He leaned forward just enough to be inside my personal space, breath fogging the plastic sneeze guard. "You're here," he whispered. My throat locked. I forced out a laugh that sounded like a broken squeaky toy. Yeah, man. Can I help you find something?" His fingers, long, too pale, tapped the counter twice. Tap, tap. Then he smiled. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't even threatening. It was pleased, like he'd finally found the right house key. "I watched you," he said softly, "from the glass." I stared back at him, confused. "The glass," he repeated, nodding toward the front doors. "It shows everything. You think it only shows out, but it shows in." My pulse thudded in my ears. "Do you want to buy something?" His smile widened just a little. "Not yet." He straightened and drifted away again, returning to his quiet circles. I kept my eyes on him, trying not to look scared. The thing is, working nights in a convenience store teaches you a special kind of fear, the kind you can't run from. You have to stand there, smile, be polite. You have to stay on the clock. At 3:19 a.m., the store phone rang. No one ever called at this hour. I snatched it up, relieved to hear any voice besides my own thoughts. 7-Eleven, this is static, then breathing. Not normal breathing. A slow inhale that sounded like someone sipping through a straw. I gripped the receiver tighter. "Hello?" A whisper slid through the static right against my ear. "Don't look at him when he stops walking." My stomach dropped so hard, it felt like a fall. "Who is this?" I hissed. but the line clicked dead. I stared at the phone, my hand trembling. From the corner of my eye, I saw him stop. He froze mid-step near the coffee station, head tilted slightly like a dog hearing a distant whistle. Every muscle in my body screamed to look, to check, to make sure. But the voice on the phone echoed in my skull. Don't look at him when he stops walking. I held my breath and forced my eyes down to the register screen, pretending to count change that wasn't there. The silence bloomed. The fluorescent hum sharpened into a whine. I could feel him now, not his gaze, his presence, like standing too close to a live wire. Behind me, the Slurpee machine gurgled and churned. Then very softly, the automatic doors sighed open again. I didn't hear footsteps. I didn't hear the bell, but I heard a voice, right behind the counter, right behind my shoulder, whispering with a smile. Now you looked. And I realized, with a cold certainty, that the man by the coffee station was still standing there. So whoever was behind me wasn't him. I didn't turn around. Every instinct I had begged me to spin, to swing the phone, to grab anything and see what was behind me. But the whisper sat on my neck like a hand. Now you looked. My eyes burned. I stared at the register display until the numbers blurred. The screen reflected faint shapes, cigarette ads, the lottery sign, my own terrified face. Yet nothing behind me. The air got colder. Not AC is too high cold. Cold like a freezer door left open. In the convex mirror above the coolers, the man in the hoodie still stood near the coffee station, perfectly still, head tilted, as if listening to a sound only he could hear. Then the mirror caught something else, a shadow behind the counter, too close to be mine. My mouth went dry. I kept my chin down, eyes flicking to the mirror again. The shadow didn't move like a person shifting weight. It moved like liquid deciding which direction to pour. A thin shape, tall, narrow, leaned toward me from behind the counter. The mirror didn't show a face, just a suggestion of a head where a head should be. The whisper came again, softer, happier. You're doing great. My fingers crept under the counter, searching for anything. The box cutter, the pepper spray I wasn't supposed to have, the emergency lock switch for the doors. My hand found the switch and gripped it. The manual lock didn't work on the automatic doors. Not fully. It just delayed the opening by a second, enough to discourage shoplifters. Corporate logic. I clicked it anyway. The doors at the front gave a weak mechanical whine, like they'd heard me and didn't care. Behind me, the thing breathed in. I smelled pennies again. Wet copper, rotting metal. Don't, it whispered, amused, like I was about to ruin a game. The hoodie man by the coffee station moved. Not a normal step. He slid. One moment he was there. The next moment he was closer, as if a piece of time had been cut out between frames. He stopped again. Don't look at him when he stops walking. I forced my eyes down. My heart thudded so loud I thought it might trigger the motion sensor lights in the back hallway. The whisper behind me chuckled. He learned that trick. Trick? I swallowed, voice cracking. What do you want? Silence. Then close to my ear, like lips almost touching skin. Your shift. My stomach turned. What does that mean? It breathed out. The cold fogged the counter's plastic guard. It means, it murmured, you're always here. A beep cut through the tension, sharp and cheerful. The microwave. I hadn't touched it. The hoodie man had drifted to the hot food warmer. He stood there, still as a mannequin, and the microwave timer lit up on its own. 0:01. The doors sighed again. Someone else entered. Thank God. I almost cried from relief until I saw who it was. A woman in a windbreaker stepped inside, looking exhausted, clutching a phone. Her hair was tied up messy. She walked with the stiff posture of someone who'd had a long night. She looked up at me and offered a tired smile. "Hey," she said. "You okay?" It was my coworker, Dana. But Dana wasn't scheduled tonight. Dana lived 20 minutes away, and she had quit 2 weeks ago. I remembered the group chat, the goodbye cake, the manager pretending to be sad. Dana walked closer, like she belonged here, like she'd never left. She glanced toward the coffee station and froze. "Is that?" she whispered. "Oh my God." I tried to warn her, but my voice didn't work. I could only shake my head slightly. Dana's eyes locked on the hoodie man. He stopped walking. Dana kept looking. He tilted his head the tiniest bit, as if acknowledging her attention, accepting it like a payment. Dana blinked once. Then her face changed. Not expression, not emotion. Structure. Like the muscles under her skin were being rearranged. Her mouth twitched upward in a smile that didn't fit her face. Her eyes watered, but she didn't wipe them. She stepped forward. "Hi," she said, voice too calm, too flat. "I'm here for my shift." My throat tightened. "Dana?" She didn't react to her name. She moved behind the counter with the slow confidence of someone who'd worked there for years. Because she had. She reached for the register keys. Her fingers hovered just above them, then stopped. Like she was waiting for permission. In the convex mirror, the hoodie man began to walk again, gliding toward the counter. I didn't look at him when he stopped. I stared at the lottery tickets, the scratchers, the gum. Dana's voice drifted beside me, sweet and wrong. "You should go home," she whispered. Behind me, the other thing, the shadow, breathed like it was smiling too. "You should," it agreed. I took a step back, bumping the cigarette cabinet. My hands shook so badly, I couldn't feel my fingertips. Then the store phone rang again. Dana answered without taking her eyes off the counter. 7-Eleven, she said, "open all night." Her voice wasn't her voice anymore. It sounded like the fluorescent hum. I tried to run, not out the front. He was between me and the doors. Not to the back. The employee hallway was narrow and had no exit except the emergency door that always set off an alarm and never opened right. But my legs moved anyway, desperate and stupid. I darted toward the back hallway. The temperature dropped another 10 degrees. The lights flickered. For one heartbeat, the store was lit by darkness, just enough to see movement. The hoodie man was in front of me. Not walking, not running, just there. I skidded to a stop so hard my shoes squealed. He raised his head. I saw his eyes for the first time. There weren't any. Just dark, reflective hollows, like the inside of a turned-off screen. And in those hollows, I saw the store. I saw myself. I saw Dana behind the counter. I saw a man I didn't recognize wearing my uniform, scanning items with robotic efficiency. I saw my name tag on his chest. I heard the whisper behind me. Delighted. "Close contact," it purred. "No escape. Perfect." The hoodie man lifted a hand and pointed, not at me, at the door behind him, the employee's only door, the one that led to the stockroom. My only option. I squeezed past him, keeping my head down, refusing to look up when I felt him stop. I pushed into the stockroom. The door swung shut behind me with a soft click. The stockroom was lit by a single buzzing bulb. Shelves stacked with boxes of chips and cases of soda, a mop bucket, a broken chair, and a security monitor. Our little camera system. Grainy, black and white. Always lagging. 4 screens. Front door. Aisle 1. Coffee station. Behind the counter. I staggered toward it like a drowning person reaching a rope. On the monitor, I saw the store. Dana behind the counter. The hoodie man standing perfectly still near the register. And me. I saw myself on the behind-the-counter feed, but I wasn't behind the counter. I was in the stockroom. My real hands touched the shelf. My real feet stood on the filthy concrete. Yet on the monitor, I was there, smiling, scanning an invisible item, looking straight into the camera like I knew someone was watching. Then, on the front door feed, the automatic doors sighed open, and another customer walked in, another late-night face, another innocent hungry for a snack. My monitor self leaned forward slightly, as if eager. Dana's mouth moved in sync with mine on the screen. "Welcome in," she said. And the man in the hoodie began to walk again, slow and patient, circling, waiting for the moment they'd look at him when he stopped. I stumbled back, heart slamming. The stockroom door handle rattled. Once, twice, then stopped. Silence. The whisper came from the corner of the stockroom now, right beside the mop bucket, where no one stood. "You're safe," it lied sweetly. "For now." I backed into the shelves, knocking a box of candy onto the floor. The wrappers inside rustled like insects. I looked at the emergency exit sign above the stockroom's back door. Exit. I grabbed the handle and shoved. It didn't budge. I shoved harder. Still nothing. The alarm never sounded, because it wasn't a real exit anymore. The sign buzzed, flickered, and for a second, the letters changed on the plastic, rearranging themselves like wet ink. Open all night. My throat closed. The security monitor crackled, the feed shifting like a broken VHS tape, and on the behind-the-counter screen, my smiling self lifted a hand and tapped the counter twice. Tap, tap, just like he had. I watched, helpless, as my monitor self leaned toward the camera and mouthed words I couldn't hear. Then the audio finally caught up, thin, distorted, crawling through the speaker like a whisper through static. "I watched you," my voice said, "from the glass." The stockroom door clicked, unlocked. The handle turned slowly. The door began to open, and from the widening crack, I saw the edge of a hood, a shape too still to be human, waiting right on the other side, like it had all the time in the world, like my shift had just begun.